You stand on the ship's deck, sea wind tangling your hair, wide-brimmed hat tilted, eyes locked on merchant ships gleaming like prey. Your parrot squawks, "Plunder it all, plunder it all." Ever dreamed of ruling the seas as a pirate, free but always one step from death? What would you do to survive? Step into the Golden Age of Piracy, from 1650 to 1730, where legends like Blackbeard and Anne Bonny ruled the seas from the Caribbean to the Indian Ocean. A pirate's life isn't just raids and battles. It's packed with bizarre, hilarious, and sometimes gruesome moments you'd never expect. Today, you'll live a day as a true pirate, from dawn to danger. Ready to sail into the chaos? You start as a lowly sailor on a merchant ship, treated worse than a mangy dog. The pay's a pittance. You're slaving away 16 hours a day, and the captain's whip cracks across your back for the smallest mistake. It's a miserable life, and you're sick of it. One day, everything changes. You watch the captain beat your best friend bloody for spilling a bucket of water. That's the last straw. You ditch the ship and join a ragtag band of pirates, ready to trade chains for freedom. Your initiation is no party. You sign the ship's code, a brutal list of rules: no brawling with crewmates, no women on board, or you're in deep trouble. Break the code, and you might face lashes, lose your share of the loot, or get marooned on a barren island with just a pistol and a bottle of water to your name. Somehow, your knack for reading the seas gets you elected captain. Your word is law in battle, but otherwise, the crew votes on big decisions like a rowdy democracy. Don't expect a fancy cabin or better grub. Everyone's equal, at least on paper. Piracy isn't the swashbuckling adventure you thought. It takes guts, skill, and a strong stomach to handle the stench of 100 unwashed sailors crammed together. You're in too deep to turn back now, though. The crew dubs you Black Eye Jack, thanks to a gnarly scar from a bar fight in some grimy port. You swear loyalty to the skull and crossbones flag, but deep down, you know betrayal's always an option in this cutthroat world. You're not naive. Trust is a luxury you can't afford. Your first raid is a nerve-wracking mess. Your hands shake as you grip your cutlass, but you snarl and shout to look fierce, earning grudging respect from your crew. You're a pirate now, for better or worse, and the open sea is your new home. Every morning at 6 a.m., you drag yourself out of your hammock to scrub the ship's deck. It's mind-numbingly boring, but if you slack off, the whole crew gets punished. You grumble. But the threat of a group stink-eye keeps your mop moving. You also mend torn sails, check frayed ropes, and polish cannons until they gleam. Everyone pitches in, even the captain, who's just as sweaty and cranky as you. It's grunt work, but a ship in disrepair is a death sentence on the high seas. Perched in the crow's nest, you scan the horizon for enemy ships or distant land. It's tense, squinting through the glare, knowing one missed signal could doom the crew. Once, you nodded off up there and nearly got tossed overboard as shark bait. You learn to navigate by stars, sun, and compass, a skill that keeps the ship from wandering into oblivion. When the ship runs aground, you wade into the shallows to push, cursing as tiny fish nibble your legs. Every task tests your patience, but you're getting the hang of it. Your first try at firing a cannon is a disaster, the shot sailing wide as the crew howls with laughter. Another time you spot a leak in the hull, and the whole band scrambles to patch it before the sea swallows you. Life on the ship is a constant dance with danger. During a storm, you climb the slick mast, heart pounding as you nearly slip to your doom. But your favorite job is plotting raids, hunched over maps, reading winds and currents like a puzzle. It's the one time you feel like a mastermind, not just a deck-scrubbing pirate. Your breakfast is a grim affair, hardtack biscuits crawling with weevils. You slam them against the table, to knock the critters out before taking a crunchy, reluctant bite. It's barely food, but it's what keeps you going on this creaky ship. Your main drink is grog, a fiery mix of rum and water with a splash of lime to fend off scurvy. It hits like a cannonball, leaving you dizzy and wincing. You sip it anyway, because plain water is a rare luxury. When you plunder a merchant ship, the crew throws a feast fit for kings. You gorge on stolen wine, creamy cheese, exotic fruits, and spices that dazzle your taste buds. For once, you feel like you're living the high life, not just scraping by. But when the fresh loot runs dry, you're back to chewing rock-hard jerky or fish, so salty it burns your tongue. Drinking water comes from collected rainwater or rivers when you hit shore, but it's often murky, leaving the whole crew clutching their stomachs. You learn fast that a pirate's diet is a gamble. Once, you ate a dodgy fish and spent hours heaving over the side, earning the nickname Green-Faced Jack from your cackling crewmates. You try baking bread with stolen flour, but it comes out like a brick, nearly breaking a mate's tooth. Food on the ship is as much a foe as the navy. Hunger drives you to eat a sea turtle caught on an island. Its tough meat a chewy lifeline for the crew. You hit the jackpot looting chocolate from a Spanish ship, and the crew brawls like kids over the sweet treasure. But one night, you overdo the grog, collapse on the deck, and wake up with your face scribbled in charcoal, the crew's latest prank. Bathing is a rare treat, reserved for when you hit shore or get doused by a storm's waves. The ship reeks like a festering swamp, with 100 sweaty bodies packed together, none of them seeing soap for weeks. You get used to the stench, but it's a grim kind of normal. Your clothes are a tattered, filthy mess, caked with salt and grime. After a successful raid, you raid the loot for fresh shirts and breeches, strutting like a peacock in your new threads. It's one of the few perks of this grubby life. You deck yourself out with stolen bling, gold rings, diamond studs, and pearl necklaces that scream pirate swagger. Your teeth, though, are a yellowed disaster since toothbrushes aren't a thing. You chew looted mint leaves to mask your breath, hoping it's enough. The ship's toilet is just a hole at the stern, where waves splash up and soak you. Once, you swam in the sea to clean off and got stung by a jellyfish, itching for a week straight. You still curse that day. Shaving with seawater is a stinging ordeal, but you grit your teeth to keep your rugged charm. When you finally reach a freshwater stream on land, you scrub months of filth away, feeling reborn. It's a rare moment of bliss. Lice are your constant companions, and you scratch your scalp raw like everyone else. The whole crew's infested, and you've all given up fighting it. It's just another charming part of pirate life. To pass the time, you belt out sea shanties, rowdy work songs about the ocean, rum, or women that keep everyone in sync and drown out the exhaustion. The tunes are catchy, and you find yourself humming them even off duty. It's the one thing that makes hauling ropes feel less like torture. At night, you huddle with the crew to play cards or dice, betting shiny coins from your latest haul. Games like Liar's Dice get heated, with everyone bluffing and shouting over flickering lantern light. It's chaotic fun, though you've lost more than a few coins to sharper players. The crew loves swapping spooky tales of ghost ships, hidden treasures, or sea monsters with tentacles the size of masts. One night, your story about a cursed vessel freaks everyone out so much they patrol the ship till dawn, jumping at every creak. You're half proud, half guilty for the panic. Sundays are for rest and prayer, a strange nod to piety despite you pocketing a golden cross from a raid just yesterday. You also show off your parrot, a foul-mouthed status symbol that screeches, "Plunder it all," at the worst moments. Not every pirate has one, so you feel like a king when it perches on your shoulder. You try learning the harmonica from a crewmate, but your playing sounds like a dying cat, and the crew begs you to stop. For laughs, you organize a grog drinking contest, and the loser poor sod scrubs the deck for a week. You're not above a bit of mischief to keep spirits high. One day, you draw a fake treasure map to prank the crew, watching them dig up an island for hours before they catch on. When the sea's calm and you're feeling low, you sit alone, staring at the stars, dreaming of a quiet life. Deep down, though, you know the pirate's chaos is where you belong. If you get hurt, the ship's doctor, usually a former barber, dooses your wound with rum and stitches it up with a needle and thread. It stings like hell, and his shaky hands don't inspire confidence. You clench your teeth and hope for the best. If the wound festers, you might lose an arm or leg, with no painkiller except a bullet to bite. Wooden peg legs are a luxury. Most amputees hobble on crutches or drag themselves across the deck. You pray it never comes to that. Scurvy is a constant threat, making your gums bleed and teeth drop like loose coins. Only stolen fruit, like oranges from a raided ship, keeps it at bay. You savor every juicy bite, knowing it's literally saving your life. You once watched a crewmate get his legs sawed off, his screams echoing through the ship, leaving everyone sleepless and rattled. Another time, you caught malaria after camping on an island, shivering uncontrollably for a week. The ship's no place for the weak. You accidentally drank the doctor's medicine once and passed out for 2 days, waking up to the crew's mocking laughter. When a tooth aches, you yank it out with pliers, wincing through the agony because there's no dentist on board. It's brutal, but you adapt. For stomach aches, you chug grog, convinced it's a cure-all, though it usually just makes you drunk. A jagged scar on your arm from a knife fight becomes your badge of honor, and you flash it to impress the crew. Every mark tells a story in this rough life. Before every raid, you mutter a quick prayer for luck, even though you just swiped a golden cross from a Spanish ship. Superstitions rule the crew. Dolphins signal good fortune, but killing an albatross curses the whole ship with disaster. You wear a shark's tooth necklace, convinced it wards off storms, and you're not alone in clinging to these wild beliefs. One day, you spot a whale breaching, and the crew erupts in cheers, certain it means a big score is coming. You never whistle on board, fearing it'll summon a tempest, a rule everyone follows without question. When a shooting star streaks across the sky, you wish to avoid the gallows, and the crew's laughter rings out, half mocking but half nervous too. Your pirate look is all flair, a flowing coat, wide-brimmed hat, and tall boots that make you sweat buckets but scream, legend. You're armed to the teeth with a dagger at your hip, pistols, a musket, and a curved cutlass that glints wickedly. A massive skull and crossbones tattoo on your chest marks you as part of the crew, and you wear it like a badge of honor. You loot a red silk coat from a French ship, strutting around as the crew seethes with envy. To look extra menacing, you sport an eye patch, even though your eyes are perfectly fine. Your pistol's a pain, jamming constantly until you bash it, and you're still slower at reloading than your mates, much to their amusement. Once, you dropped your dagger overboard and, in a pinch, fought with a spoon during a raid, earning endless ribbing. You take cues from Blackbeard, tying lit fuses in your hat to look like a demon, scaring merchant ships into surrender before a shot's fired. Your tactics are simple. Strike fast, fire warning cannon shots, and hoist the skull flag to make enemies quake. You avoid drawn-out fights, aiming to loot, not kill. One clever raid has you posing as a sailor to sneak onto a merchant ship and unlock its hold from within. You name your ship the Fury, painted blood red to intimidate, and once, you fly a fake British Navy flag to trick a merchant vessel into dropping its guard. Storms are a pirate's worst nightmare. And you learn that the hard way when a monster tempest nearly sinks your ship. You cling to the mast for dear life, waves crashing over you, muttering desperate prayers to survive. The sea's a beast, and it doesn't care if you're captain or cook. Battles with the British Navy are just as brutal, with cannonballs whistling past and bullets zipping like angry hornets. You watch crewmates fall, blood staining the deck, and realize every fight could be your last. You swing your cutlass and shout to keep the fear at bay, but your heart's pounding. When food runs out, hunger gnaws at your gut like a rabid dog. You're reduced to chewing leather from your boots or swallowing slimy raw fish you snag from the sea. It's disgusting, but starvation doesn't give you the luxury of being picky. Disease is a silent killer on the ship, with dysentery, malaria, or scurvy ready to take you down. There's no skilled doctor, just a guy with rum and a dirty needle, so you tough it out or pray for a miracle. Every cough or fever feels like a death sentence waiting to strike. Getting caught is a constant dread, because the Navy doesn't mess around. If they nab you, it's the gallows, your body left dangling for 3 tides as a warning to others. You once saw a crewmate hanged, his tar-coated corpse swaying in the wind, and it haunts your nightmares. You had a close call yourself, diving into the sea to escape a Navy patrol, swimming to an island with your lungs burning. Sometimes, you force captured sailors to join your crew, but not all come willingly, and their bitter glares remind you trust is scarce. Life as a pirate is a tightrope. Walk over a shark-filled abyss. You cross paths with Anne Bonny, a female pirate fiercer than any man, leaving you slack-jawed at her fearless swagger. She outdrinks and outfights half your crew, and you're half in awe, half intimidated. It's a wild reminder that the sea doesn't care about gender. One spooky night, a rumor about a ghostly ship lurking nearby sends the crew into a frenzy. Everyone's jumping at shadows, clutching their knives, convinced they're cursed. You try to stay calm, but even you check the horizon twice before sleeping. You bury a chest of loot on a remote island, carefully sketching a map to find it later. When you return months later, you're stumped. The map useless because you forgot which palm tree was the marker. The crew's furious, and you're the butt of their jokes for weeks. Looting a ship loaded with wine casks is a dream come true, and the crew gets roaring drunk, singing off-key shanties for a whole week. You join in, slurring and stumbling, until someone falls overboard, and you all laugh it off. It's the kind of chaos that makes piracy worth it. You hear tales of El Dorado, a fabled city of gold, and get swept up in dreams of endless riches. You sail to a swampy coast to find it, only to be swarmed by mosquitoes and buried in sand. Your treasure hunt ends with nothing but bites and a bruised ego. On an island, you meet native hunters who teach you to track game, but a language mix-up nearly gets you speared. You escape with a sheepish grin, swearing to stick to ships. It's a close call that leaves you wiser about land adventures. You join a ship race against a rival pirate crew, your heart racing as sails snap in the wind. A lucky gust pushes you ahead at the last second, and you win, gloating as the losers sulk. It's a rare moment of pure triumph on the unpredictable seas. But not every story ends well. A trusted crewmate betrays you, surrendering to the Navy for a pardon. His treachery stings worse than a cannon blast, a grim lesson that loyalty is as fleeting as the tide. You sail on, wary of who's got your back. A few lucky pirates strike it rich and retire to a life of luxury, lounging with piles of gold. That's a rare fairy tale, though, and not your story. Most end up swinging from a noose, bleeding out in a battle, or scraping by in squalor. You dream of retiring on a sunny island, sipping rum under palm trees, far from the chaos. But the sea's siren call always drags you back, and you climb aboard yet another ship. The ocean's in your blood, for better or worse. In the end, your fate's a coin toss. You might fall in a fiery clash with cannons roaring, face the gallows with a crowd jeering, or grow old alone, haunted by memories. Whatever comes, you've lived a pirate's life, wild and unbowed, with the sea as your only true home. A pirate's life is a whirlwind of adventure, teetering on the edge of danger yet bursting with the raw thrill of freedom. You've defied kings and navies, chased riches across stormy seas, and lived by your own rules, but the cost is steep betrayal, bloodshed, or a lonely end. Whether facing tempests, clashing swords, or the shadow of the gallows, you've carved a path unbound by law, paying the price with every scar. Your story, like the sea, is wild, untamed, and forever yours.